Okay, so the next step is to download some photography from the Alliance for Public Gardens GIS website, and then we'll load that into the geodatabase. So to do that, open up a web browser, and just for simplicity's sake, can we all use Internet Explorer just because it seems like Firefox is putting stuff in different spots for us. So you should have the E icon on your taskbar, but if you don't, you can go to Programs, and it should be, I don't know where Internet Explorer is on here. Does anybody not have the Internet Explorer icon on their taskbar? Okay, good. So once you get into there, I'll start back from the beginning here. We'll go to www.apgg.org. And then from here, we go to Events. And then go to Workshops. And then if we scroll down, go to Videos and Data under the June 20th one. And then scroll down to the bottom, and you should see the link for workshop data. So we click on the View button here. It'll bring up a spot where we can download this. And you should see a link in the middle that says download with 8 megabytes in parentheses. So we'll click on that. And then we will click on Save. And if it doesn't go right to your T drive, on the left under Computer, click on thaw space 0, T colon, and then hit Save. And then you can close the box once it's finished downloading. And you can leave your web browser open if you want. I'm just going to close mine. And then what we need to do is, that was a zip file, so we need to unzip that. So to do that, we'll navigate to that location, but from the taskbar, open up Windows Explorer, the yellow folder icon. And then we will go to, under Computer on the left, go to thaw space 0T. And now you should see the folder for workshop data, and it should have a zipped icon. It looks like a folder, but it's got a zipper on it. Is everybody finding that? Good. Okay, if you right-click on that, click on the Extract All option. And just go ahead and accept the default options and hit Extract. And that should open up a window showing you the results of what it extracted. So you can close that new window it opened up. And then it should leave you with the window that we had before. And now you'll see there's workshop data that's zipped, and then there's workshop data that's unzipped. So the one that says compressed folder under type, or has the zipper icon, just right-click on that and delete it, just so we don't get confused as we're working with stuff later. Okay. And now inside that, we have some data that we're going to work with. So there's some aerial photography in there, and there's a few other files that we'll work with later. Okay, so we're good on that for now. We can close that. And now we're going to go into our catalog. If you closed our catalog, go ahead and open it back up. And if you have it open, once you have it open, scroll all the way back up to the top of the catalog tree and click on the T colon drive. And if the data doesn't show up in the contents pane, right-click in there and click refresh, and then you should see a folder showing workshop data. And now if you double-click on workshop data, you'll see that there's 3 things inside of it. We've got one called Aerial Photography 2009, which is some aerial photography from 2009 for a little piece of the UC Davis Arboretum. And then we have a shapefile for area of interest that we're going to load in. So we're going to load both of these things into the data model. So for simplicity's sake, what we're going to try to do is just click on this Air Photography 2009 and hit copy. Right click on it, and hit copy. And then on the catalog tree on the left, go to our GIS Republic Gardens geodatabase. Click on that. And then in the white space here, you should be able to just hit paste, but it's not going to let us do it. So different versions of ArcGIS lets you do things a little bit differently. Let's see. Yeah, so what we're going to do is right click here in our GIS Republic Gardens. We're going to do new. And we're going to do new raster dataset. Now, for the purpose of simplicity, we're just creating a raster dataset for this photography, but you could load it into the catalog. So if you got lots of different images, a lot of times when you get photography from your local government or jurisdiction there, they'll give you lots of files. So photography a lot of times is broken up into tiles, and you may get, depending on how big your garden is, you may get 4 or 5 or 10 different individual photos. And if you have lots of them, it's good to load them into that catalog. We're doing things a little bit of a different way just for simplicity's sake today. Okay, so now does everyone have this Create Raster Dataset box up? All right, so and now it gives you where the green dot is. It gives you a spot to name this particular thing. So I'm going to call mine the same as what it's named on the in our folder there. So I'm just going to call it Air Photography 2009. And now it's important with things in the geodatabase that they don't have spaces in between words. So to preserve the being the readability of a word without spaces, you can use underscores, but the general convention is to use what they call kind of camel case, where you capitalize the beginning of each word. So right now it says aerial, and then I capitalize P for photography, and then 2009 stands out. And that way it makes it so that you can still read what's going on. And then for the other options that are on here, we can leave these completely blank because it's gonna pull in that information from the source file. But one thing that's important is where it says number of bands, we need to change that to 3. And now with rasters or images, it is the number of bands refers to basically the number of colors that are different color bands that are in this image. And for a color image, they're made up of red, green, and blue, the same way that our kind of monitors or our TVs display information. So it's important that we have 3. If we just put in 1, it would show up as a black and white image. So we want to get that color in there. And I don't think we need to do any, there's one more thing. If you go click on Geodatabase Settings, you'll see that there's an option for Build Pyramids. And what that means is that it's going to kind of build little previews of that image so that it displays really quick at different scales on your screen. So we'll leave that checked. And then under Resampling Technique, we're going to change that to Bilinear. And what that means is that it's going to kind of smooth the image out a little bit so that it looks a little crisp, a little nicer on our screen versus as if it was not altered. And that should be it. Is everybody okay with that? All right, so go ahead and click OK. And now it's going to go through and create an empty container for us to put our photograph in. And now you should see, after a few moments, you should see at the bottom of the screen, it's got this little kind of scrolling headline here that says that it's working on creating that for you. Now when it's all done, it'll pop up a little window in the lower right saying that it completed with the green check mark. Hopefully you don't get the red X. That's never good. And that work for everybody? Okay. So now what we can do is click on our new Aerial Photography 2009. If it didn't show up, you can right-click and hit refresh. But it should show up for you. And now you can right-click on this guy and click on Load, and then Load Data. Now this is going to let us take that file that we downloaded and put it into this container for us. So where it says Input Rasters, all the way at the right, hit the folder icon. And it should navigate to your T drive for you. If it didn't, click the down arrow under Folder Connection, select T. And then we're going to go into our Workshop Data folder and select the area of photography that we want to load into this. And you can load the UC Davis Arboretum logo in there, but it probably isn't going to do a lot for you. Okay, so select on that, or click on it, so that's selected, hit add, and now it adds it. And you can, if you had multiple images, you could load those all in at one time. We're just going to do this one. And we can leave all the default options in there, they're just fine. And click OK. And again, it should eventually bring up a little headline at the bottom showing you that it's trying to load that data in there for us. And then when it's all done, it should bring up the green check mark in the lower right. And now if we click on Aerial Photography 2009 here, and we hit preview, we should see our photo has now been loaded in there. Does everybody see that? And now sometimes you want to get some information on this particular photo. So if you click on the Contents tab, it'll go to the screen where it shows you, oh, here's the 3 individual bands that are loaded in there. So it's got one for red, one for green, one for blue. And you can click on those and click preview, and you'll see that the images look a little bit different. But basically, we want to go on back to the Contents tab, and then upper left, click the up one level arrow there under the File menu. And now we're back to where we were. So if we want a little bit of information about this photo, we click on Aerial Photography 2009, right-click it, and get Properties. And it brings up some different information about this. So under raster information, it shows that there's our number of bands, and then it shows our cell size. And now this is pretty important. The cell size is basically how big each little square or pixel in that image is on the ground. So this one, it says 0.5. And most people will be like, oh, I don't know what that means. But what it does mean is that it's 0.5 units. And because our coordinate system we assigned is using feet, it's half a foot. So it's basically saying that each little pixel or square in that image is 6 inches on the ground. So it's basically kind of like the smallest thing you'll be able to make out in that image. And Raul was talking about getting 4-inch imagery for his gardens. That's even better. That means you can make out things that are a little bit smaller. So basically, the smaller that number you can get, the better that you're going to be able to make out things on the ground. And then there's some other information in here, our pyramids and our resampling and things like that. It shows you the extent, shows you our coordinate system, statistics, things like that. None of those things are too concerning right now, but the cell size is one of the main things you're going to want to pay attention to when you're trying to get photos. Okay, so you can click on OK on that, and now we're all set. And that pretty much finishes off that step, so we can go ahead and stop for a second.